Oh hey guys, gals, and other pals. You might be wondering why I'll be talking about a game that's been covered to death today, and just give me a second to find an excuse. I mean, valid reason. I got it. It's just a rite of passage on YouTube to make a video about Ocarina of Time. I can't call myself a real creator unless I talk about this game and regurgitate every other person's opinion on it. Although I swear, my opinion is totally different than everyone else's. Microscopically. Speeding through the development of the game, Ocarina of Time was originally being developed for the 64DD add-on for the Nintendo 64 before being migrated to the base console on a cartridge. It was led by 5 directors, one of which was Eiji Onuma, and was produced by the main man himself, Shigeru Miyamoto. Eiji Onuma designed the dungeons in the game. I know some people that wouldn't have expected that. Anyway, the game released on November 1998 in Japan and North America. After going through the development process so quickly that it feels like this game was made at a Saturday afternoon, I'm now going to go through the game from start to finish, because this is a video game, and I've heard a rumor that video games have gameplay and content, so I'm sure this one has some as well. The game starts with our child protagonist in a dream where a girl is being rushed away from the castle, and then some dude comes out and hits us with a blast because we're just a disturbance to his presence, I guess. Anyway, this sentient tree named the Deku Tree sends us a fairy that wakes us up and tells us to go to the Deku Tree, and this is where the game actually starts. Now you can exit your home and explore this small and peaceful Kokiri forest. You can also meet this girl named Saria, I guess. Whatever, she's probably not important to the story or whatever. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is that while Link is the canonical name for your character, you can actually rename Link to whatever you want, which means I can change one letter in his name only to realize that it sounds like half the people I talk to want to sexually harass me. This is just another reason why I won the world's biggest dumbass award. Now, before you can enter the first dungeon, which is the Deku Tree, you need the Kokiri sword, which you find in a hidden area, and you need the Deku Shield, which you can buy from the local shop. After that, you can get past this annoying-ass piece of shit, very friendly local of Kokiri Forest. What a great guy! Then you enter the Deku Tree, and might I say, as rudimentary and basic as this dungeon is, even for a starter dungeon, it still does a very great job of introducing the player to so many elements and types of puzzles that they'll see throughout the rest of the game. It's also at this point in the game, the player should now be familiar with how this game gets around not having full camera control. In standard gameplay, the camera just follows behind you as you move, but if you want to focus on a specific direction or specific target, you can hold down the Z button to lock onto it, which is considered one of the big revolutionary things this game introduced, even though someone else probably would have figured it out at some point. The reason this game is considered revolutionary isn't because all the little advancements in this game wouldn't have ever been thought of or figured out at some point. Ocarina of Time was just super fast to the beat to figure so much of this stuff out. Back to the dungeon. The puzzles, while simple, are also fun, and you get introduced to gold Skulltulas, and the final boss of this dungeon and room leading up to it are very fun, while again, being easy to figure out. We're taken out of the tree where this big piece of oak tells us he was cursed by a man from the desert, and he then proceeds to tell us how the earth was created by 3 goddesses, Din, Nehru, and Furore. The point where the goddesses left is where the 3 triangles called the Triforce formed that holds immense power. We receive the first spiritual stone that we need in the quest, the Deku Tree fucking dies, and we're on our merry way to the next dungeon. The intro to the game ends on kind of a dark note with the Deku Tree's death. My time working with CleanWay ended on kind of a dark note too. Now that I've gotten through the first portion of the game that introduces most of the controls and mechanics and important lore, that'll make the rest of this a lot quicker. We leave the forest, Saria gives us an ocarina, and we have to head to Hyrule Castle. When we get to the castle, we have to wake up this old dude with a rooster that we can get from his daughter. Although I feel bad because I have a lot in common with this guy. Huh? What's happening? Oh shit, I'm filming. Where's my script? Where is it? The hell? Did you take it? We do some stealth, meet the Princess Zelda, find out Desert Man is named Ganondorf, who's the Gerudo King, and then Zelda entrusts us with way too much responsibility just because she had some dream she keeps saying is a prophecy. Oh, what a weirdo. It's whatever, though. Hyrule Kingdom's government is still more lawful and responsible than the United States government in the year of our Lord 2026. We learn a song, head to Kakariko Village, where we have a few side quests on offer, and then head to Goron City, where the next dungeon is, but it's blocked by a big boulder, and it's where the Gorons go to get the rocks they eat to survive, because they apparently can only eat the precious gemstones in the cave, and not the boulder itself. Wimps, just eat the fucking boulder, man! We have to take a detour to visit Saria in the Lost Woods, where we learn another song that we end up needing to break through to the Goron leader, Darunia, who then gives us what we need to use bomb flowers and enter the next dungeon. Dodongo's Cavern is thematically boring, has puzzles that are barely at a higher difficulty and complexity than the first dungeon, except for this big staircase, I guess. The only two saving graces for this dungeon are the boss and the dungeon item, which is bombs. King Dodongo not only gives me a stroke every time I try to read or say his name, he's also really easy, but also really fun. Just throw a bomb when his mouth is open and you can go in for the attack. It's a simple and easy concept, but it's just plain fun. Darunia gives us the second spiritual stone, and I can move on once again. Next, we head up Zora River to Zora's domain, where we discover that the King Zora's daughter is missing. So, we do some exploring and find a message in a bottle in Lake Hylia. We then get to go to an area where the water hasn't been touched by King Zora's ass, feed Jabu Jabu, a fish, and boom, third dungeon. I don't know what the general consensus is on Jabu Jabu's belly, but I honestly think it's the most well-designed dungeon up to this point in the game. The aesthetic is unique, cool, and also really gross. The puzzles still don't give too much of a challenge, but are a big step up from Dodongo's Cavern. And you have to carry the Zora King's daughter, Princess Ruto, around. The boss, Baronade, is incredible. It's unique, it's a little challenging, it's fun, and it takes just the right amount of time to beat. The middle boss in this dungeon, though, sucks so bad that I'm now thinking more carefully about my financial decisions. Now, I know this game has been out for a while, but you think Nintendo will give me a refund? Princess Ruto gives us the spiritual stone / engagement ring. Oh shit, did I just get engaged? It's time to head to Zelda. And oh, that's Zelda leaving in a hurry. And oh, Ganondorf just hit me with his signature Ganon Blast. I guess Link's dream in the beginning was prophecy. We have to pick up the item Zelda threw as she was leaving. We get the Ocarina of Time, learn the Song of Time, and head to the Temple of, just guess, Time. We then open, you guessed it, the Door of Time. And there's the legendary Master Sword. We obviously gotta take this thing and... oh. We open the Door of Time, which let Ganondorf get to the Sacred Realm, where the Triforce is. Oh, welp, we fucked that one up pretty bad. So I guess since Ganon's not defeated, there's still more. I would be more enthusiastic, but... I'm tired, boss. We wake up to some random old guy staring at us. We find out Ganon took over the Sacred Realm and Hyrule, and that we were asleep for 7 years. This guy Rauru is really stupid. He put us to sleep when we could have actively tried to fight against Ganondorf with the rest of Hyrule. Whatever, though. He gives us a Sage Medallion, which we need to progress. We're back in the Temple of Time, where we meet Sheik, who's one of the last remaining Sheikah, who tells us where we should head to next, which is Kakariko Village. As we make our way there, we see the vast destruction and horrors Ganondorf caused after 7 years, and the impact it had on Hyrule's remaining survivors. The tone of this game is immaculate. It's no wonder why this game was praised so hard. We race a dead guy. He gives us the hookshot, which is one of the most useful items in the game, and then we can make our way to the first adult dungeon, which is in the Lost Woods. Once we make it there, we run into Sheik, who teaches us a melody that can teleport us to this area whenever we play it. Now, here we are, in one of the most highly regarded dungeons in the entire series. The tone of this place is eerie, unsettling, but surprisingly calm. This dungeon has us defeat all these different pose/ghosts to proceed to where the boss room is, but we need to get the boss key first. That's right, the big thing introduced in this dungeon is the concept of dungeon keys to add to the puzzle-solving and sense of lostness within dungeons. The Forest Temple has so many unique rooms and hallways that you can completely contort and shift to progress through it. The dungeon item is the bow, which is incredibly useful, and these mid-bosses are once again pissing me off. You know, you'd think they would want to design enemies that actually have you taking advantage of the combat and all the moves. Nope, just spam the attack. Also, at this point in the game is when you really start to encounter more frame dips when fighting certain enemies and things like that. And while the base frame rate is already not good, it's also 1998 on the Nintendo 64. Cut this game some slack, alright? Also, the frame rate is more stable than my mental health, so you gotta give the game that. The boss in this dungeon is Phantom Ganon, and oh boy did I suck at this boss. It's not that difficult, I was just bad at aiming and predicting where he was gonna be. And I was also bad at the tennis matches. After defeating him, Ganondorf does some trash talking, and we're back in the Chamber of Sages where we see Saria is now a sage, and we get the next Sage Medallion. I gotta start speeding things up. I'm only just now getting to the halfway mark in this game, and it's still going. Honestly, I'm impressed by that, because, again, this game was made in 1998, back when 3D games were first really getting figured out. We go to the Temple of Time and find out we can go back in time 7 years whenever we want if we just put the Master Sword back in its pedestal. On to Goron City. We run into Darunia's son, who tells us all the Gorons are gonna get eaten by a dragon named Volvagia, so we make our way there in our brand new heat-resistant tunic he gifted us. Chic again. And this dungeon's just okay. What I like about this dungeon, though, is the music that plays, the actual feeling that you're doing something to help Hyrule by actually freeing imprisoned Gorons, and that's it, that's all I like. The tone of this dungeon doesn't feel fully fleshed out, it feels just a little generic. It's going for kind of a ritualistic temple kind of vibe, but it does just an okay job at it. The original version of this game had Islamic chanting integrated with the music, which adds a lot to the tone, but they removed it in re-releases due to Nintendo making a new policy of not having any more religion in their games. Although, I don't think anyone would have noticed it was Islamic chanting, but, I mean, there's not much you can do to sway Nintendo when they've made up their minds on something. Nintendo's not beating the Islamophobic allegations. Volvagia looks more like a flying snake than a dragon, but it's an alright boss, all things considered. We get the Fire Medallion from Darunia, who's now the Sage of Fire, and moving on once again. We discover Zora's domain is frozen over. We go through a mini dungeon where we get iron boots and a special kind of fire that can unfreeze King Zora, and then we receive the Zora tunic. We sing another melody that Sheik teaches us, and we're at Lake Hylia. We go to the bottom and enter the Water Temple, which I'm sure will be a super fun and not at all frustrating dungeon. You know, I wasn't expecting hell to have so much water. I mean, I thought my lungs were going to be filled with smoke, but it looks like they're going to be filled with water. I hate this dungeon with every fiber of my being. Now, I have completed this dungeon before, so I didn't feel as lost or confused as I would have, but I still don't think this dungeon is that difficult or confusing. As long as you know how to get to this one room with a dungeon key, everything else you can just go room by room till you figure out what you're supposed to do and where the, required item and boss key are. It's still frustrating though because of the amount of backtracking, menu opening, map checking, and mental breakdowns you'll have to go through. And this dungeon doesn't even make up for itself in any capacity with the boss that's easy, boring, and doesn't fit the theme at all. Honestly, I don't even think the theme of this place is that good either. It feels more like a dungeon with water rather than a water-based dungeon. Princess Ruto's our wife now. Huh. She's also the Sage of Water who gives us the next medallion. We have to learn a song from this guy in the Kakariko windmill as an adult, and then play the song in the windmill as a child to gain access to the bottom of the well. The guy learns the song from us as a kid, but we learned it from him as an adult. I'm not sure if I'm qualified to cover time paradoxes. The bottom of the well is a pretty fun and pretty scary mini-dungeon, I'm not gonna lie. From it, we get the Lens of Truth, we play yet another melody Sheik taught us, and we have to use a fire spell that you're supposed to grab much earlier in the game, and the Shadow Temple. It's really good. The puzzles do a decent job of puzzling me without being too difficult, and the theme and tone is incredibly dark and unsettling. The lore of this place is that it was once used by the Hyrule royal family a long time ago to torture and imprison their enemies. How the fuck is this game rated E for everyone? No matter, this dungeon is actually kind of short, or at least feels that way after the long and unending water temple. There's a lot of secrets and chests hidden in plain sight, which is pretty cool. This boss sucks ass and is kind of fun at the same time. It doesn't seem like it would fit the tone all too well, but it kind of does, and it's very unsettling. It's also hard as balls. It just moves way too fast for me to lock onto its hands that I need to shoot at with my bow and arrows, but it's still pretty fun. And then another Chamber of Sages sequence. This time the Sage is Impa, the person that was responsible for protecting Zelda 7 years ago, and another medallion. Yikes, this is a lot. First, we have to go to the Gerudo's hideout and rescue these carpenters, and once we do that, the actual desert is opened up to us, which is where we need to go to get to the last dungeon in the game. And we have to go through 2 trials to make our way to the location of the Spirit Temple, and then we go inside and realize we can't do shit. When first exiting though, we run into Sheik, who gives us, guess what? Another melody. But we can use this to get here in child form because normally the path is blocked that way. So we come back to the Spirit Temple as a child and go through the first portion of the dungeon after we meet this Gerudo named Nebula, who tells us to retrieve the treasure she's looking for. After we fight one of the most fun and difficult mid-bosses in the entire game that actually encourages using all the different moves in combat, we get the treasure and also witness Nebula getting captured. Oh. Well, we can use these gauntlets to progress in the dungeon as an adult, which makes me realize this is my favorite dungeon in the entire game. I absolutely love how this dungeon makes you go through it as both a child and adult, and it really takes advantage of all those differences between child and adult Link in the types of puzzles you're solving and enemies you're fighting. You can hookshot only to this nipple on the statue. Nintendo's got a lot of horny employees, don't they? The puzzles actually feel more substantial than previous dungeons. The dungeon takes just the right amount of time, gives you a cool new shield, and has an incredible boss fight. We first have to fight another armed fellow, which turns out to be a brainwashed Nebula, and then we fight the witches named this and this, because I don't know how to pronounce those, to be honest. They then fuse together to make for an incredible, but honestly easier, second phase. We defeat them and get the last medallion from the new sage Nebula, who turns out to be a pedophile. That's disturbing. This is it. This is the final stretch of the game. But don't worry, because I'm still going to have to talk about the side content, the overall quality and impact, and the re-releases. Shit, that's a lot. We return to the Temple of Time to find Sheik, who tells us about how the Triforce splits whenever someone without a balanced mind and heart try to make a wish with the Triforce. and that the pieces go to those that most embody the different elements. We then get one of the most iconic plot twists in all of gaming, and find out that this mysterious Sheikah was actually Princess Zelda the whole time. She's then kidnapped. Very original, Nintendo. We go to Ganon's castle. The sages use their power to create a bridge to it. We solve a series of puzzles to let us through to a series of battles, which leads us to the top of Ganon's tower, where Ganondorf and Zelda are. The Triforce of Wisdom is held in Zelda. The Triforce of Courage is held in Link. And the Triforce of Power is held in Ganondorf. We then play a series of tennis matches against Ganondorf to stun him so we can shoot him with light and slash him with the sword that seals the darkness. Ganondorf appears to be defeated. So, Link and Zelda evacuate Ganon's tower. But once they reach the ruins, they realize the battle is not over. This is the true final battle. Everything has been building up to this moment. Everything connects to this very moment. And everything is at stake in this moment. This is where you, the player, determine the fate of Hyrule. After finally defeating the Scourge of Hyrule and the Sacred Realm, we are graced with one of the best endings and credit sequences in all of gaming. And it's after completing this game and going through everything this game has had to offer that you, the player, will realize that this is a work of art. So, that's the main game of Ocarina of Time. And now I think I want to describe every dungeon in the game in one word or phrase. I can't believe it! I finally graduated preschool! Huh? What? Oh, sorry. I forgot about this one. Why couldn't you have eaten something besides Taco Bell, man? Oh shit, did I accidentally take those psychedelics? What the fuck is happening right now? Snake? I have PTSD. Oh, this? Oh, don't worry about it. It's just an average American prison, alright? Nothing to worry about. Oh. Sexy. I couldn't quite finish the full game, but I did still do a lot of the side content. This game is very surprising in the sheer amount of side content it has. There's a ton of different mini-games and little secrets you can find, and there's some substantial long-running side quests within the game, and it actually helps guide you a little bit on where you should go to progress those side quests without giving away what you need to do. There's an abundance of gold skulltulas that you can find everywhere in the game, and you can get rewards after defeating certain amounts. The only caveats for side content is hidden caves and Hyrule Field. In order to know if you're near a secret cave, you need a Rumble Pack accessory, which is really stupid. And most of Hyrule Field is just land with a few enemies and caves, and most of the caves don't have very good rewards. I understand Hyrule Field is just supposed to be the big, vast land that connects all the areas and makes you feel like you're in this big, vast kingdom, but it still picks away at me how lacking in things to do Hyrule Field is. In terms of overall quality, this game is incredible. It does have some annoying characters and dated controls, but for the time, the controls were really solid, and this game still has aged pretty damn well compared to other games. The biggest problem with this game for me was honestly having to use this pathetic excuse for a controller. I hate this thing so much. Now, when it comes to all kinds of popular, successful, or highly beloved games, There are a bunch of people that will make the claim that the game is overrated because they didn't like it. In general, I think most things are properly rated, and the people that say something is overrated or underrated just have a different opinion than the majority, which is completely fine. For so many people, this game is the best game of all time, but that doesn't mean it's the best game of all time for you. It's normal to have different opinions, but I unfortunately see so many people try to undermine people's love and experiences for different games just because it wasn't the best experience for them. You can dislike a game and understand why others love it. You can love a game and understand why others dislike it. It's just that simple. So, this game has gotten 3 official physical re-releases. On the GameCube, there was the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition that had Ocarina of Time on it, and there was an individual release of Ocarina of Time plus a bonus campaign they made, Master Quest, and both versions on the GameCube run on emulation, which is a choice, and a full remake was made for the 3DS, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, that not only really ups the graphics and performance, but also greatly enhances the controls, and makes for a much more fluid feeling game. It also fully realizes that amazing art style that Nintendo wanted to go for with this game, and everything just looks exactly like you'd want it to. This version of Ocarina of Time is also the first Zelda game I ever played. It's amazing. So, what's my final opinion on this super highly regarded game? I guess it's pretty good.
Well, it looks like I got totally real fan mail about my opinion on Ocarina of Time, and I'm sure it's a thought-provoking or heartfelt message. Oh, it's a death threat. You know, this skit, it can't distract me from what happened, from how I told the story. Those crude parodies I made years ago at this point of my time working with CleanWay. It doesn't really do justice to what happened. And I think as I've had trouble finding words since I've been fired from CleanWay, and as my mind has been getting worse and worse and worse, I think I should shed real light on what happened with CleanWay. I think I have to. I think I need to.